This is a rhythm graph. It is the heartbeat of a champion in League of Legends. This graph will be used to understand the power dynamics of champions throughout the game, and how we can use it for efficient tempo practices. Let's zoom in closer to a segment. We can observe three unique sections. The peak represents power. You are in a stage of power when you have your ultimate, an item spike, or a level spike. This is the optimal time to fight. The pit represents rest. This is the optimal time to recall, as this is when you have enough gold to buy a significant item component or to finish an item. Transition stages are in between moments of power and rest. This is the optimal time to reap the benefits of the previous stage or to facilitate the upcoming stage. In other words, this is the time you have to do stuff. The amount of actual time you can spend in the transition stage can depend on camp timers and lane states in the early game. Meanwhile, later on, the respawn timer will matter a lot more. Let's dive deeper into how we can use this rhythm graph for good tempo practices. What is tempo? Tempo is how effective you are at taking steps to achieve your goals. To be more clear, it is the efficient timing of your resources and actions with respect to objectives, your teammates, and the opponents. In the first example, we're going to learn about the importance of synchronizing tempo. This is a coaching I did with a player. He's playing Kayn in the jungle. If you want to get coaching from me as well, check the description. First time is free. Right now, he's in the transition stage as he's moving towards the location of the upcoming fight. Now that he is in position, he is in the power stage as he has his ultimate up and a fresh level spike. Once the fight is over and he has won, he enters the transition phase again. During this, he drops the Rift Herald, gets an additional kill, takes the tower, and also takes the enemy's camps. Let's pause here for a second. Right in this moment is the exact timing that Kayn should be looking to base. Why? Because there are three factors. First, his teammate, the Vayne, is basing right now, so he would be perfectly in sync with her, and his teammates are spawning as well, or just about to get out of the base. The third thing is that the objective is spawning very soon. You want to have at least 45 seconds to get to the objective and take control of the area. Third factor is that he has more than enough gold to finish his item and doesn't need these camps. You could say that he's hit the holy trinity of tempo. He can sync with his teammate, he can sync with the objective, and he can sync with his item spike. However, the player does not recognize this and stays on the map longer to do some other stuff, and eventually the next fight starts. The problem here is that now he is off tempo. This is how the graph would have looked like if he had recalled when he should have. However, in reality, this is how it looks when he avoids recalling. As you can see, he has forced himself into being off tempo, and now if he were to fight, he would be playing with a disadvantage. This means that Kayn has put himself into a hard position where he really needs to recall, but everyone else is itching to fight. He could base now and spend his gold, but he risks his team fighting in a 4v5. The other option which we see is he stays on the map and fights it out with 3000 gold in his pocket. I'm not saying that playing his rhythm correctly guarantees winning the fight. There are still other factors to consider as well, just that rhythm and tempo is a big part of that. So we've just learned what it is to be in off tempo, but how can we use that against the enemy? Let's quickly take a look at this game I played as Kai'Sa. In this particular game, me and my support push in a wave and take a cheater recall. As you can see, Ezreal is still stuck in the transition stage and he's trying to reach his rest stage as fast as possible. And to do that, he needs to crash in the wave. Otherwise, he risks losing a lot of XP. We then come back to the lane with an item advantage. If we look at the graph version, we see that my graph is much more compressed, which makes the peak of my power stage sync up perfectly with Ezreal's rest stage. Ezreal is off-tempo because his rhythm is offset compared to mine. In other words, he wants to recall while I want to fight. So what if Ezreal was a bit more efficient and I weren't able to catch him? Well, that's completely okay, because he's still off-tempo. I have control over the wave, which means I can crash to the tower and then take a plate. Or I can invade his jungler, if my support and my own jungler are there as well. To simplify it, I've built a tempo advantage for myself by crashing a wave, which means that he has to either farm it or risk losing it all trying to stop me from doing what I want to do. Hey, I really hope you enjoyed the guide and found it useful. If you did, please consider subscribing and sharing it with other people who might be able to benefit from it as well. I also really hope you would consider joining my Discord and trying out the coaching I have to offer. I really want to help people get better at the game, and I'm sure I will be able to help you one way or another. Don't forget, first time is free.